and then we will, and I'll put it up on YouTube. Hi, Tracy. Welcome. How are
Hi.
you?
I'm fine, thanks.
I'm
Glad to
so
be here.
excited. I know that, this is a very impromptu. I didn't tell anybody I was doing it, but really, like, it felt like the right thing to do. I feel like this is the right thing to do. And it worked out. It's sort of like, it took way more time than I thought it was going to take for us to get it going, and I'm super upset about that, but which sort of changes everything back. So welcome everybody. Share this on your page, and it will go up on YouTube as I'm done, and probably by the end of the weekend. So Tracy, you had an near-death experience. That's what NDE stands for. So
Yes, ma'am.
I would love to hear about it. I know that people would love to hear about it as well. And we'll just talk back and forth, and I may interrupt, and I may say, oh, could you explain this to me? And if you're annoyed with me, just tell me, okay?
Okay.
All right. So let's start from the beginning. What was happening what was life like prior to your near-death experience?
Well, I was just raising two little girls, married, working really hard. I worked for an asbestos company,
Okay.
removing asbestos, floor tile. I had a good life, made some good money, and
That's
was
hard
working.
work. I mean, you've got a lot to do when you do that stuff, right?
Yeah, you have to suit up. You have to shower in and shower out. You build poly containments.
Yep.
Yeah, it's 6 mil poly walls that you have to tape up. And that day we were removing floor tile. They were going to build Circle Center Mall, downtown Indianapolis.
Okay.
And we were doing some demo work, removing floor tile. And I was running a floor chipper and spraying my wrist, and had a little splint on my wrist.
Okay.
And it had a metal bar in it. And when you remove asbestos, you have to keep it wet. So I'm not only running a floor chipper, standing in water. We have conduits from the lights hanging because it's demoed. There, everything's down.
This is sounding really dangerous, Tracy.
It was. The electricity was supposed to be off.
Oh.
They have our company, the company I worked for, is supposed to have its own power. It's a big board where they plug all of our equipment into. And the building was supposed to be dead, but it wasn't.
Okay.
And the conduits were hanging. And with that splint on, I went to push that poly wall back. And the conduit swung over and grabbed that splint.
Oh my gosh.
And I died. Next thing I know, I'm in heaven, I suppose, is the way it felt. Blue skies. The only thing that was there was me and a phone pole. This is going to sound really funny, but there was a phone pole. One phone pole in these blue skies.
Okay.
And there was a telephone like Green Acres. You know how he'd climb that pole and he'd answer that phone?
No, but I can imagine it though. So the phone is up on the pole?
Up on the pole.
Okay.
And I didn't mess with it. I just seen the phone and I thought, I've got to call home. That's what I thought. And I looked to my right and there was a spirit there in a white gown with a gold belt wrapped around twice. I mean, I tried to take in all the detail I could, but I couldn't see his face. It was like flames or like light. And telepathically, he asked me in a calm, gentle voice if I wanted to stay, if I wanted to go home. And I looked back over to my right at that phone. And then I saw a picture of my youngest daughter. I have two daughters, but I only saw one.
Okay.
And I saw my youngest daughter. And I told him, I have to go home. And I shot down in that tunnel. And I looked back up and I saw myself in that light, with that wire hooked to me, and pulled away. Saw myself pull away. And that's what I did. I pulled away. And when I pulled away, it threw me back 6 feet into a concrete wall. And I bounced off, my head bounced off the wall and the floor.
Oh my gosh.
And I sucked air back into me, just, and
Holy cow.
then I ran out screaming.
So was there any, okay, hang on. Let's just break this down a little bit because I want to make sure that I get all the detail. So you're in a house, you're removing asbestos, which is a really big job. It's a huge job. And many people don't know this, but when I lived in New England, I worked with a company that did asbestos removal, and I sort of like helped kind of coordinate it. And it's intense. You have to do a lot of like pre-surveys, during work surveys, after surveys, air quality. You have to really have so many pieces, and especially on the East Coast, asbestos is huge, and asbestos is a naturally forming substance that causes cancer. So, I mean, these are the things that happen, which is why, and it's also a fire retardant. So those are the reasons why we used it for so long in so many different building applications. And
Right.
It's cheap. So that being said, you are in there and somebody was supposed to had killed the electric, and it wasn't killed.
No, the
Live.
conduits were hanging from the ceiling. Yes, live.
So,
And I was not aware that they were live.
oh my goodness. So it's somebody's saying that it's frozen, but I'm not seeing that we're frozen at all. I don't I don't feel frozen. Do you feel frozen?
No.
I don't feel frozen right now. So what ends up happening is so you have a splint. Is it a splint on your arm, or like how big is this metal splint?
As a matter of fact, I got one out just so I could show you.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it blew a hole in my toe of my boot.
Oh my gosh.
It stopped my watch and cracked my watch. But this is the splint I had on. I wish I could put it on. It's not the splint, but I have to wear them because of my arthritis. But
right.
Yeah, it's just a small splint.
So it has the metal piece that keeps your wrists from, there's a big metal piece under that.
Right here. Yeah, right here. And it had wore through from working on it with it.
Oh,
and the metal was showing through there.
Oh my gosh.
I wasn't expecting to get electrocuted. And when you're working like that, you just don't have time to go buy another. I mean,
right.
I was working a lot of hours and then going home and trying to take care of children and a house and a husband.
It's exhausting. That kind of work is absolutely utterly exhausting. It's very, very physically demanding. So then so the metal hits the thing where you're grinding up the tiles and then the conduit at the same time?
No, I wasn't, we had chipped up the floor tile. I was sweeping it up.
Oh, okay.
And I went to push the poly wall back with that splint. And when I made that motion to push the poly wall back, that conduit was hanging and swung over and grabbed the splint.
Oh my gosh.
And the floors are wet.
The floors are wet, so it was like a perfect storm is happening for you.
It's in my purse.
So the perfect storm happens. You get electrocuted and then you die. So is there anybody around you who saw any of this happen?
No, but I had a big 6 foot tall African-American man named John Speed who picked me up and carried me out through containment, took me out of containment.
So he's picked you up. He sees it happens and he picks you up, or this is afterwards?
Afterwards. I went running towards him.
Oh, okay.
Screaming, and he just picked me up and carried me out.
She's hysterical. So I'm making fun, but right, like I'm not making. It's a good kind of fun. It's not a bad kind of fun. So you end up going and you die. Now do you remember seeing a tunnel that you were going to go into? Do you remember seeing like anything specifically that was happening prior to to dying?
The only thing I can remember in the beginning was just being in this blue space.
Okay.
And then I started to look around. I mean, it's peaceful and quiet, blue skies.
Right.
And I started to look around. There's a phone pole, or a pole with a phone on it.
Do you remember, like, was it grassy or anything like that? I mean, that's got it. So it's so interesting. It's like you see these things, you cross over the other side, you see this pole with a telephone on it, right? Is it like a telephone in a case? Is that what you mean by the Green Acres?
It's a wooden box with a little horn that you speak into, and a little thing you take off the side of it. And you put up to your ear.
Okay. You're an antique.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you don't know who you were talking to, just a white robed with gold. Wow.
With a gold rope around his waist.
That's amazing.
Or he seemed like a him.
Well,
I felt like a male presence.
And then, then you get the chance. He talks to you, and what does he say again?
He gave me the choice to stay or to go back home.
To go back home. It's interesting because the first time you said home, I thought you meant like home to the other side, but you meant home back to Earth.
Right.
Wow.
I could stay there with him,
okay,
or I could go home, or I could go back.
Or you could go back. And so
yes.
You came back, and then you were back, and it was like that. Was it just like you when you were coming back, you said you could turn and see yourself in the tunnel? What do you mean by that?
I watched myself go back down the tunnel.
Oh, you from Earth?
From heaven.
From heaven.
From heaven, and go back down the tunnel
to
where I was standing, and I looked up, back through the tunnel. And I was at the other end of the tunnel.
Oh my God, Tracy, that is amazing, because what you were telling me, it's so interesting because you think that your NDE, oh my gosh, doesn't mean, you think it's so short, you think it doesn't mean something. What you just said is utterly amazing. And I hope that everybody's listening gets a hold of this, because she just said a huge spiritual truth that, oh my gosh. So let me break it down, because what I'm hearing you say is this, Tracy, and I'm so amazed, because you just said that as you were coming back into your body, you were looking up into heaven and you could see yourself. So you were seeing your higher self, which means that we are such multi-dimensional, realm creatures that there's always a piece of us in heaven and always a piece of us here. Do you that's pretty did you get that in your NDE?
No, I don't. I have searched for answers since it happened.
I'm utterly shocked, because one of the things, now I know that this is like, we're just gonna jump into like a real deep spiritual truth here, is that not only are we here, but we're in heaven, or in the other side. Let's just call it the other side.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll call it the other side. We'll call here, Earth. And, we can live in multi-soul areas at one time. And you saw your higher self as you came back into your body. Like, our bodies cannot take 100% of our soul, because it's just, we're so dense and our bodies are so light. We're at such different realms of the spectrum. So I'm kind of blown away at what you just told me. I know that that's too bad. Somebody just jumped on and said I missed some of this. Don't worry, it'll be up. So what you just said was really, I know you have discounted your NDE and you've made it, well, it only was 2.5 minutes, not that big of a deal. Whatever.
That's what my watch said. It was lunchtime. I looked at my watch before it happened. I'm waiting on lunch. So
and 2.5 minutes later, you're screaming. run half
Yes.
the place
Yeah.
and get picked up and taken out.
Yeah.
What you just said about your NDE has absolutely, I think it's one of such, I love NDE stories first off, but what you've just said just cements a deep spiritual truth that many people don't understand. So I want to offer that you had that NDE to show that we are multi-dimensional beings where we're on the other side, but we're also here.
Wow.
I don't
I
think,
just know that I have to share my story,
yeah.
you know, because there is something else, and I didn't know that until that happened to me.
So was the other side peaceful? Did you feel like a
Yes, it was so calm and quiet.
be quiet when you're a mother of two is a big deal.
Yeah,
Deal.
yeah. It was an experience. It was. I had lung surgery a few months after that. I had a hole in my lung, a 3.5 centimeter hole in my lung.
Wow.
It just it did a lot of damage.
I
But
was just gonna say, how was your recovery from that?
uh, l- scary and long, but I made it through. Um, I'm here to tell the story that there is another side.
Right.
There truly is. Um, I want to know who that angel was. That I honestly, I want to be hypnotized. I've talked to my therapist about this. I just want to go back and see if I missed anything, you know.
Uh,
But because it was so quick and it was so different. But I have,
there's so many things that can happen in an NDE, and you can have, this much of it, and then only, you can have this huge experience and only allowed to be remembered this much of it.
yes,
So one of the things that I think that you're coming back with is just how multidimensional we are. And I don't think I've heard what you have said from any other NDE ever. Tracy, I want you to hear me this. I want you to hear me this right now. Because what you're actually saying is, as you were coming into your body, your soul was coming into your body, you were looking up and seeing yourself on the other side.
yeah, I watched myself pull away from the wire. And so when I saw myself pull away from the wire, that's what I did. I pulled away from the wire. And they said, they said it was like it wasn't a 420, it was a 220 or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm the one that threw myself against the wall because I pulled so hard. It sure didn't feel like it. I just pulled away from the wire.
Wow.
To get it off of that splint. And I threw myself back into a concrete wall and I bounced. Bam, bam. The wall, the floor. And sucked that. I mean, you're in a full suit and a respirator and everything. And I mean, I didn't take the respirator off, but I got the containment and I did. John ripped it off of me and picked me up and carried me out.
And then there was this, and then you said there was a hole in your shoe, and then a hole in
Yes.
your lung. You got a hole in your lung?
I did have a 3.5 centimeter hole in my right lung. I had 6 pneumothoraxes. I didn't know what was going on at first. I just ended up sleeping in a chair. Couldn't breathe. We got it fixed once. Come home, and ended up having to go back. And it happened 6 times before they sent me to Indianapolis, and they found the hole and stapled it up.
And
adheres my lung to my wall cavity.
Wow. And did they say that it was? Did it seem like it was because of electrocution? Because you touched the? No.
No, I don't think so. I don't know. It had to have been played a part.
Right.
They found rheumatoid nodules in my lungs, so it could have been a weak spot or something. I don't know.
Right.
But I believe that was part of it. It started from that.
Wow.
Because I never had any problem in my lungs before. I worked harder than some men I worked with.
Yeah. No, right. I absolutely understand it. I mean, and I'm going to say, like, I mean, I know how hard that work is. That is really hard work. That's difficult work where you're really doing some asbestos removal. And really, I'm giving it up to you because that's some difficult work, Tracy. So
I
that's,
so appreciate you letting me share this with you. I really am.
you are so adorable. I'm so glad that you're sharing this story. And I'm going to tell you that what you're saying has really blown my mind a bit. I think that we're going to have a deeper conversation about this because I don't know. I'm going to try and hypnotize you over Zoom. Like, I'm going to come in, try and to see if we can get more information. How do you feel that this NDE has changed how you, have moved within the world? Because what you said that you saw a picture of your daughter, your youngest daughter.
Well, let me tell you, I didn't understand.
Oh,
I
honey,
just want to get emotional.
it's okay.
I'm sorry.
Please don't ever say you're sorry. These are like good tears. These are tears like this is a good tear. A healing tear.
My daughter, 20 some years later, was in a hit and run accident.
Oh my gosh.
The daughter I saw.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Tracy.
So now we take care of her and her 4 children.
Oh,
So that's my purpose, to come back and take care of her.
I'm so like overflown with so many different emotions right now and thinking like what an angel you are for coming back. What if Tracy, I know this may sound crazy and maybe I don't know if Facebook's with me anymore, it doesn't matter. I'm here with you. You are absolutely utterly amazing.
Thank you.
What if that person you saw was the male energy side of you? And they had to present themselves in a male to have this experience so that you would come back for your daughter.
In the human form.
Form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It makes me question everything. Everything I was raised to believe,
What
my
are some
Christianity,
of the questions?
to go to, I don't, just being brought up in church.
Mm-hmm.
And I took this to church and I shared it with the people at church and they looked at me as like I was out of my mind. And so it pulled me away from church. I knew that's not where it was. And there's more to life than go. There's more to it than church. Church, we're not taught right. After having this experience, I just don't feel like I was taught right. There's a God, but it's not what we are conditioned to learn, to know.
Right.
They condition us to have one God. And I think there's a lot more to it because I had this experience.
I wish I was there with you right now and I could just give you a hug. I wish I could just give you a hug because you're very brave for sharing your story. And I want to tell you, I really welcome that you're sharing your story. Have you attached to, or like not attached, but have you connected with any NDE groups?
On Facebook, I had.
Okay.
And I told my story on there. But it's the same as like getting on those chat things, they say it's done and over, I've never got a whole lot of responses or anything, but
sometimes, yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's difficult to bare your soul and then not have people have that response.
Or just understand where you come from. They can't understand. Who can understand that you crossed over and you come back? unless they have it happen to them, they don't understand.
You know, there's so many things that are true in life to that, right? There's so many things that are true.
Absolutely.
A lot of people have experiences and don't really like relate to what the experiences are until like then they get empathy when they've been through it, which is hopefully something that we're changing here, because what you're explaining is so deeply metaphysically true, that you have your higher self and you have you, that I think that your NDE is so special. Because it really does illuminate those deep metaphysical truths that so many people need to know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I agree.
I gotta say, for helping your helping your daughter and raising your 4 grandchildren, that's amazing. I know that you share. I'm not going to say the other things that we talked about prior to this, but that is, I want to say, like, thank you for coming back. Thank you for, like, this is hard work, very hard work. Coming into this earth alone is hard work. Coming into this earth and making sure that your daughter with a TBI and her four kids are taken care of and well taken care of is really hard work.
I didn't know that this was what I was in for.
I know. We never know what we're in for, right?
Oh, but that's okay. I'll take it. You know, if that's was my purpose, then I have to do this to the best of my ability. I mean, I may not do everything right, but I'm doing the best I can with it.
Yeah. You're adorable. Well, Tracy, I want to thank you so much for being brave, and for stepping in courageously to share your experience. And, you know, I didn't hear the experience until we were talking here. So I hope you understand how deeply important I think your NDE was.
I thank you for letting me share it. Oh. And I think you're amazing. I think what you do is amazing.
Oh.
There are just no words. You were put in my life for this reason, I believe, because I felt it. I just felt it. And I felt like I was pestering you, trying to be on that
TikTok.
Yes. But it needed to, I just knew it was meant to be. It needed to happen.
Absolutely meant to be. And I'm gonna sign off on Facebook right now. So thanks everybody for joining. Don't go anywhere, Tracy. I'm just gonna make sure that we're done here and turn it off. Oh, people are saying they're here. You're amazing, Tracy. What if I just do this? I'm just gonna
thank you kindly. I do appreciate you. So much.
Are we still live on Facebook? Okay, stop.
Yep.
There we go.
There it is.
And I'm going to stop recording this because I want to say some things that I think you need to hear.